Good afternoon. We'll begin here in just a moment. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the TD SYNNEX Public Sector Spotlight with Market Intelligence webinar series. We're thrilled to have you here as we dive into navigating SLED sustainability opportunities. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from Yvonne Mafia, our Senior Market Insight Analysis with the Market Intelligence team. Yvonne, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Felicia, and thanks everyone for joining us today for our Green Goals webinar. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, next slide. All right, so I want to start out by setting the stage for today's discussion. When you think about sustainability, you might come up with any number of topics you see here on the slide. And when we think about sustainability within the SLED IT market, there's a wide array of functions, policies, and initiatives that focus on the use of sustainable practices and technologies within SLED agencies. Now, for this webinar, we'll touch upon those that tie into the federal framework for sustainability and support our nation's sustainability goals, and then where many states and localities are focusing their sustainability efforts. I wanted to highlight this slide, though, to showcase some of the other items that fall under the IT sustainability umbrella that will continue to present future opportunities for innovative technology adoption. An example of this is vertical farming. Now, this slide also acknowledges what we can call the evergreen opportunities for sustainable technology investments. These technologies can directly and/or indirectly support green initiatives for years to come, independent of politics and the federal policy landscape. Cloud computing, for example, will continue to provide tangible benefits through its ability to create efficiencies. Now, this broader umbrella that we can call sustainability in IT includes the use of IT tools and solutions to reach a wide range of sustainability goals and focuses more on the application of technology to reach these goals rather than the mitigation of an environmental byproduct of a specific technology. However, it's important to note with the emergence of advanced technologies such as AI, there will be a need to address various aspects of sustainability that accompany its adoption. So think about AI, energy management, and data center cooling, for example. Next slide. Now, there are many ways in which technology can provide benefits to SLED entities looking to enhance their sustainability efforts. For instance, cloud computing and advanced data analytics can help agencies better manage the sustainability reporting process, mitigate environmental impact, and comply with regulations. Carbon data transparency can build trust and support informed decision-making. Process automation can replace manual tasks that use large amounts of energy. With the advent and advancement of emerging technologies such as AI, there will be even more opportunities to use innovation to enhance SLED sustainability efforts. An example of this is a digitally supported energy control tower coupled with a cloud-enabled data platform and AI to create an end-to-end model for an integrated energy management solution. Now, over the next few years, successful application of technology that can benefit SLED sustainability goals will require an innovative and thoughtful approach. SLED agencies will continue their focus on digital operations and services, and there will be ways to holistically incorporate sustainable digital product and service design. Modernized digital tools such as connected IoT sensors and blockchain-enabled tracking systems can also afford new ways to monitor environmental impact. The demand for cloud computing will remain strong as its use within sustainability initiatives has a proven track record of success. IoT, blockchain, data management, AI, automation, right? All of these technologies can support efforts to boost sustainability. Other applications include smart energy management systems, supporting remote work to reduce transit-related emissions, or developing systems for efficient resource management. As I just mentioned, there are many avenues in which a SLED agency can pursue sustainability, whether that's reducing emissions, implementing green building mandates, or supporting green smart city initiatives. Minnesota, for example, has an Office of Enterprise Sustainability where they focus on sustainable procurement, whereby employees review new contract awards to include clauses that promote efficient energy use and smart asset management. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into some of the sustainability related directives that are guiding SLED agendas. Next slide. So a wide array of policies have been adopted at the state and local levels to decrease greenhouse gas emissions, implement clean energy resources, and promote more energy efficient buildings and appliances, among other things. Now, before we get into the relevant legislation and mandates that really set the stage for SLED sustainability IT acquisitions, I just wanted to quickly acknowledge what we all keep hearing and reading about in the news, which is essentially the discontinuation or pausing of some of the policies and funding we're about to discuss. I'll cover all of that in a lot more detail later on, but I just wanted to highlight that although there will be potentially an absence or repeal of new and existing climate related federal initiatives, the majority of state and local governments who are interested in sustainability related policies have already achieved a relatively mature framework for these policies, and their focus is now on longevity and maintenance of initiatives moving forward. And the lion's share of sustainability related funding from what we're going to discuss here within the IRA and IJA, for example, has already been allocated. So even if we see reversal of any of these policies or programs, there will still be a need for technologies that can support existing implementations. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of the mandates and policies that set the foundation for where SLED governments are today with their sustainability initiatives. Now, sustainability and its integration into IT products and services received considerable attention over the last few years when in 2021, President Biden released Executive Order 14057 with the Federal Sustainability Plan with the intent to attain various pollution and emissions reducing goals, purchase sustainable products and services, and reduce agencies' carbon footprints. Now, this EO established a policy that the federal government will help transition the US to a net zero emissions economy by 2050. To date, 45 states have established climate action plans. With the implementation of the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grants Program, state and local governments have established their own frameworks on how to mitigate negative environmental effects, tackle environmental justice issues, and support clean energy communities. State climate action plans typically focus on things like greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets and specify the actions a state can take to help reach their goals. There's also been a lot of focus on resilience strategies, carbon sequestration, clean energy targets, and economic and social goals. Technology has played a role in state climate action plans through things like data analysis, emissions monitoring, enhancing mitigation strategies, enabling public engagement, and supporting adaptation planning. GIS technology, for example, can help agencies visualize emission sources and vulnerable areas to climate change. Similarly, satellite technology can monitor land use changes, and sensor networks can collect real-time data on energy usage or weather patterns. Again, cloud technology has also played a large role in SLED agency carbon emissions plans, since that added efficiency can help reduce overall emissions. Now I want to dive quickly into a couple of specific examples of state climate action plans. Next slide. Okay, so here I want to highlight some examples of climate-related legislative action at the state level. So California, for example, enacted Senate Bill 253, the Climate Corporate Data Accountability Act, which requires large businesses operating within the state of California to publicly report their greenhouse gas emissions. Now, this includes both public and private U.S. businesses with revenues greater than $1 billion. The law requires companies to have very clear reporting standards of their carbon footprints, It establishes accountability standards for decreasing emissions and establishes the climate and financial disclosure rule, granting specific company data be made available to the state. Senate Bill 253 also requires reporting companies to get third-party assurance of their reports. Now, this legislation is the first of its kind nationwide. The state of California has really been at the forefront of a lot of climate-related initiatives, and this further illustrates the state's commitment to reducing its carbon footprint and the open market for investments when it comes to sustainability. Next slide. So here are a couple more state-specific examples on climate action. Now, Washington and New York both have climate corporate data accountability acts, just like we just saw in California. In January of 2023, the state of New York enacted Senate Bill S897A, which requires businesses with over $1 billion in revenue to report emissions to a registry. This is very similar to California's Senate Bill 253, which really incentivizes corporations to adopt more sustainable practices. In December of 2024, the governor of New York also signed legislation to strengthen the state's environmental efforts by requiring large fossil fuel companies to fund critical projects that protect New Yorkers. The legislation also established a climate super fund to support projects that enhance climate resiliency. The focus of the climate accountability legislation within all three of these states, as an example, is just really to strengthen and support climate accountability and transparency. These initiatives set the stage for continued adoption of technologies that support state sustainability initiatives and also serve as a guide for IT companies who are looking to go to market with these states. Now let's get into some of the relevant federal initiatives that have driven SLED sustainability investments. Next slide. So the Inflation Reduction Act, also known as the IRA, is considered the most significant climate legislation in U.S. history. It focuses on investments in clean energy initiatives by offering tax credits and incentives to encourage the adoption of renewable energy sources and accelerate the transition to a clean energy economy while also creating jobs in the manufacturing sector. The Climate Pollution Reduction Grants Program, for instance, was established under the IRA to encourage community-driven climate solutions and support the nation's transition to clean energy. Next slide. The IRA also includes over $3 billion to strengthen sustainability for federal facilities, including $2.1 billion for the GSA to obtain materials with low embodied carbon for use in construction projects, $975 million for emerging sustainable building technology investments, and $250 million to transform existing buildings into high-performance green buildings. A municipality example here is Portland, Maine's use of the IRA funds to support a courthouse renovation project with low embodied carbon materials and the use of emerging tech. In terms of the effects of the new administration's shift in priorities, again, just to reiterate here, most of the funding associated with the IRA has already been doled out and should not significantly affect the current trajectory of IRA-related sustainability investments at the SLED level. So the takeaway here is that the IRA has helped lay the foundation for additional policy movement at the SLED level, in turn generating opportunities for IT companies moving forward. Next slide. So the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, otherwise known as IJA or the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, was signed into law on November 15th of 2021 and provides historic levels of funding investment for infrastructure. IJA established a wide range of investment opportunities for equitable, climate-supportive infrastructure. For example, the legislation included new programs designed to help minimize emissions and bolster resilience in the transportation sector. IJA also includes $2.64 billion of workforce development qualified funding for building decarbonization and $1.8 billion to help local governments develop building performance standards policies. The Weatherization Assistance Program is another example of a climate supportive program under IJA, targeting energy efficiency for low-income households. Some examples of technology opportunities created from IJA include clean buses, electric vehicle charging stations, carbon capture solutions, battery and energy storage technologies, expansion of the electric grid to bolster resilience, distribution infrastructure, and data analytics to help facilitate software for smart grid functions, just to name some. Next slide. So while policies like the IRA and IJA set the foundation for nationwide sustainability goals, again, there is some talk about whether the Trump administration and potential absence and repeal of sustainability policies at the federal level will stall overall climate goals. Now, President Trump issued an executive order suspending all funding disbursements under the IRA as part of his terminating the Green New Deal agenda, which also stops funding for IJA. Now, this action primarily affects clean energy and related manufacturing projects. These funding pauses fall under the Unleashing American Energy EO, and the idea is for the new administration to reevaluate the grant and contracting process by focusing on promoting America's affordable and reliable energy and natural resources. President Trump also signed an order withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Agreement. However, as of this week, a temporary restraining order has been issued blocking the administration and OMB from freezing government grants and loan program payments. So we'll learn more about this in the coming weeks and months. Now, the new agenda also ends the electric vehicle mandate and repeals Biden's 2021 order for 50% of all new vehicles to be electric by 2030. However, approximately 84%, or around $96.7 billion of IRA clean energy grants have already been allocated. The effects of the new EOs likely won't have too significant an impact when it comes to clean energy development due to a few different factors. First, as I just mentioned, right, most of the funding has already been spent or at least allocated. Second, the IRA tax credits are protected by statute and cannot legally be terminated through the issuance of an EO. Most of the tax credit programs have bipartisan support, and Congress would have to approve any policy rollbacks. Now, in terms of state and locality specific sustainability policy, as I mentioned earlier, many states have a relatively mature sustainability framework in place if that's an avenue they were going to pursue. Any states that had the desire to pass substantial clean energy legislation have already done so. With the culmination of robust green policies and initiatives over the last decade, SLED agencies are now directing their efforts towards the implementation and maintenance of policies and projects moving forward. Looking at opportunities in 2025, the market for things like renewable energy is more advanced, and states will need IT companies to assist them in managing growth and fostering the implementation of emerging technologies. We'll likely see some talk around managing the increasing energy costs and demand correlated to data center needs, so just something to keep in mind. And in 2025, there will also be an array of bipartisan climate supportive opportunities to take advantage of, including continued clean energy development, which has already yielded remarkable economic benefits in both conservative and democratic states. Emerging technologies such as AI will be integral to future clean energy initiatives. And other developing initiatives include the focus on next generation geothermal energy, industry decarbonization, and strengthening international supply chains to enhance U.S. competitiveness and security. The new federal agenda is really emphasizing nationwide manufacturing and national security rather than housing overt sustainability related priorities. So the takeaway here is that we can expect to see these efforts continue whether or not we see new sustainability policy at the federal level. Over the next few years, it's possible we see less discussion of sustainability, but technology companies can expect to see similar demand for the solutions and services that are necessary for all of these systems and platforms, especially as things like, the express benefit of cloud solutions as a continued need will remain constant. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of the specific sustainability related initiatives we see at the SLED level that are driving IT investments. Next slide. So carbon capture and sequestration technology, or CCS technology, stores carbon underground instead of releasing it into the air and has become increasingly more popular among SLED governments, largely due to the accompanying tax incentives. Now, the US carbon capture industry was worth about 1.52 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach 11.89 billion by 2033. In 2024, we saw over 100 bills related to carbon capture and sequestration introduced by states during the legislative session. In recent years, there have been many states that have passed legislation establishing frameworks for CCS. Now, many of the state policy guidelines focus on CO2 storage, permitting processes, and clarifying pore space ownership. But there's been an upwards trend towards state level policies around CCS technology. Now, there are many different applications of technology within CCS that can present opportunities for IT companies. AI is used to enhance CCS by analyzing large data sets, predicting performance, and identifying the most efficient conditions for capturing and storing carbon dioxide. Cloud computing also supports CCS by delivering the computational power that's required to run intricate simulations and data analysis, which allows for overall better project design, monitoring, and management, particularly through the use of AI and machine learning algorithms that can predict and model carbon storage behavior. Next slide. Now, in recent years, state and local governments have been focusing efforts towards ensuring better reporting and transparency of sustainable practices and on the implementation of building performance standards. There's been a lot of sustainability progress within the construction industry, for example, most notably through the implementation of green building standards. Within the US, there are several governing bodies that oversee green building standards, including the US Green Building Council, or USGBC, the International Code Council, or ICC, and the Green Building Initiative, the GBI. Many states have green building mandates, including California, New York, and Illinois, just to name a few. The USGBC Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, also known as LEED, certification rating system is the most widely used green building program in the world. Now, green building mandates are influenced by green building principles that include energy efficiency, indoor air quality, resource and water conservation, and livable communities. The California Green Building Standards Code, also known as CalGreen, is the first in the nation green building standards code. Currently, there are over 500 cities with green building codes in place, each tailored to address the unique environmental challenges of their respective regions. Now, when it comes to green building, there will be continued demand for technologies such as IoT, for example, to help collect data which can enhance energy efficiency and water management. Smart meters, which can track energy consumption in real time. Smart lighting systems to minimize electricity use. Smart windows and occupancy sensors that can detect how many people are in a room. These are just some examples of the green building related technology demand we'll likely continue to see. Next slide. Now, as I just mentioned, the LEED certification is the standard for green building in the US. LEED sets criteria for evaluating a building's sustainability performance across categories like energy efficiency, water efficiency, and indoor environmental quality. The nationwide increase in the adoption of LEED emphasizes the progress towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions, health impacts, and building operating costs. In 2023, a new record was set for incorporating the most LEED certified gross square footage of green building space in a year, which likely reflects the effects of record-setting temperatures and intense storms. Now, as we continue to see the effects of natural disasters and inclement weather incidents, the demand for technologies that support green building will likely continue. On the right-hand side here, I've listed the top states ranked for LEED. You can see from the list here, some of these may come as no surprise, right? We've got California, Washington, Hawaii, Colorado, just to name a few. What this means is that these states represent a strong market for technologies that support green building standards. All of the technologies that we just discussed that play a key role in green building will be really important here. For example, leveraging virtualization and cloud computing can help optimize resource utilization and reduce energy consumption. Next slide. So in 2025, we will likely see local governments focus more on things like embodied carbon and entire life cycle footprints of materials. Localities are focusing on addressing specific needs within diverse and underserved communities, such as minimizing high energy costs. More innovative in their approach to sustainability and are approaching it through more of a holistic lens. This covers a wide array of community initiatives, whether that's recycling or electrifying public transit or decarbonization. There was federal funding under the IRA dedicated to supporting clean energy jobs and related workforce training, which has led some localities to prioritize sustainable workforce development. Cities are also including procurement provisions that include sustainability-focused criteria, so IT companies can expect to see sustainability reflected in procurement language. As an example, the state of Virginia is what we call a Dillon Rule state, which means that local governments can only exercise powers granted to them by the state legislature. Virginia's local governments are not allowed to enact mandates around green building certification, but many jurisdictions do have robust programs that incentivize developers to attain green building certifications. Arlington County, for example, operates the Green Building Incentive Program, which offers bonus density as an incentive to achieve certification. Next slide. Now, over the last few years, SLED entities have been focusing on the use of sustainable practices within their digital transformation initiatives, which digital government, digital services remains a top priority for state CIOs again this year in 2025. We're seeing SLED agencies utilize a wide array of technologies that complement the mix of sustainability and digitization. That could be through energy efficient technologies, reducing carbon footprints, increasing awareness of opportunities and grant programs that enhance sustainability, or encouraging responsible data management. Washington State, for example, designed an online funding portal to boost awareness of available funding for clean energy and climate resilience related projects. Within the state of Vermont, the Fish and Wildlife Department is using high-resolution data to protect important habitat features like wildlife road crossings. The state updated its conservation design analysis, which now uses data that is 60 times more detailed than prior data and is capable of accurately capturing specific habitat features. Next slide. Now, this chart here highlights some examples of SLED sustainability-related procurements over the last 6 months based on related keywords. So this represents just a sampling of how SLED leaders are looking to technology to support their sustainability efforts. Washington State University, for example, was seeking a vendor analysis on the impact of AI on the power sector and sustainability goals, and the role of AI in critical mineral supply chains. This really demonstrates the influential role that emerging technologies such as AI are playing within fields like sustainability, where we will likely see many more procurements of similar nature in the coming years. Next slide. So as we look into the future, states will continue to rely on technology to help reach their sustainability goals, independent of emerging policy and administrative action. Over the last decade, SLED entities have really matured their sustainability frameworks and will be looking to IT companies to help support the longevity and maintenance of these programs and projects. With the advent and advancement of technologies such as AI, there will be opportunities for creative investments and technology acquisitions, particularly as it relates to supporting modernization and digitization efforts. Many technologies also indirectly afford sustainability benefits to SLED agencies and will remain a key component to sustainability. We mentioned cloud computing, right, several times with its innate ability to generate efficiencies. Advanced technologies such as quantum computing can improve states' ability to monitor and protect their ecosystems. It's also important to keep in mind that existing state and local mandates can drive technology adoption, and IT companies should stay apprised of related legislation and stipulations that govern the procurement cycle. And as we continue into 2025 and beyond, we can expect a continued need for technology that supports SLED sustainability. So that concludes today's webinar. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you gleaned some green insights from this webinar today. Have a great day and see you next time.